my birthday resolutions is to manufacture on a regular basis reels, short videos about different things. So I'm going to have this on YouTube. Reclaim host. Okay, now this didn't work somehow. This didn't work. Spotlight for anyone. Okay. I tried to do it on YouTube and it didn't work, and we're going to keep it like this because I think we lost the Marshall family. Okay. So anyway, so bottom line is like this. I'm 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 not. All I'm saying is, perhaps you could say the lesson is that. What's the lesson? Yisro? No, the lesson is that a good father-in-law and a mother-in-law, the less you get involved in your children's life, the better it is. Let them figure it out. Let them, don't meddle in. And by the way, what Yisro said was amazing. Was really, really amazing. But you really want them to walk their own path. Okay. Here, let's start with this week's parsha. Text 1a. Because it's 7 o'clock at night, we're going to ask everyone to read. By the way, if any of you are listening online and you don't have a book, we could get you a book. Here, sorry, read Gabriel 1a.
And now, if you will listen to my voice and keep my covenant, you will be a treasure to me from among all nations. The entire earth is mine, and you will be a kingdom of priests and holy nations.
Okay, so this is what does this mean to be a priest, a kingdom, a priest, and a holy nation? What do you think it means?
Question.
Yeah, what's the question? Oh, I didn't do the question. Thank you. Thank you. Is it possible to be a good and moral person without believing in God? What do you think? Can you be a good and moral person? By the way, Alan, we have another book if you want.
Interesting question. Because the answer is you could do all things that are good and moral.
Right.
You could live that kind of life, even if you weren't so certain about God.
How do you know what school to smell?
Well, now let's say,
Maybe how you were raised.
let's, no, it's a good question, but I'm gonna assume there is a series of things that's good and wrong. I'll assume such a.
So 1 second. So let's.
Well, like, where did you get that from? And it's like, God from over here, that's where it, and that's.
Okay. So let's. Huh?
No accountability, so I think like it said, not for long, over here somewhere in the beginning. Says, good without God, not for long. I feel like it's not possible, like, not for very long, because like, the inclination in the world is full of temptation.
Good and moral when you around the people, but what about when by yourself?
So by the way, you guys are all bringing good points, but let's kind of backtrack a little bit, okay? First of all, this is the topic of the class, so we want to cover a little ground, and we'll go back to this. If we discuss it to the end, we have no class. Which is okay with me. I could go upstairs, take care of my kids. The faster, the better. But okay, so do you understand that there's some things? Could you accept, or could you understand, or could you argue that there's some things we could determine on our own? For example, I don't want you breaking into my house. I'm not allowed to break into your house because I don't want you to break into my house. I don't want you stealing my stuff. I'm not allowed to steal your stuff because I don't want you to steal my stuff, right? It's like, what do you like? In other words, it's something that you should understand, that there's certain things you can't do because it's not good. It's common sense. It doesn't take a genius to come up with it. Okay? So we could draw certain humane laws, if you'd like. I could argue to say we could come up, humans are smart enough to come up with certain basic human laws.
Says you don't want yourself treated.
Right. And then out of that, you come a whole bunch, a list of laws. That would be my argument why you could. I'm not saying you can. I'm not disproving whatever you guys said. I'm just saying, hypothetically, you can't come up with such a thing. What would be the problem with it? So, okay, let's learn. Text 1:8, go ahead.
You just read one.
Oh, you just read one. Okay, so what does it mean that they will be? What does it mean that the Jews? So God says the Jews should be a nation, a kingdom of priests. What does it mean, a kingdom of priests? Here, go ahead, read it out, Alex.
And you will be for me a kingdom of priests. By this you will be chosen from among all the nations, for you will be a kingdom of priests to teach and guide the entire human race to invoke God's name and to serve me shoulder to shoulder.
By the way, something very interesting. So it says two things, he says. Kingdom of priests and holy nation. So by us, so other religions, I believe this is the narrative. The narrative, we have it right, you guys have it wrong, you guys are going to go doomed to hell, or you're an infidel, and we'll kill you, or you're just not a human being. You're just, whatever it is. In other words, everyone believes theirs is right, otherwise they'll follow another belief system, right? You could accept that, right? I believe in Atkins diet. You think Atkins diet is the worst thing. Okay, it's okay. I believe what you believe. If I would believe what you believe, I'd go with your diet. But I don't believe in it. I believe that your diet, whatever it is, I don't know, South Beach, I don't know what diets are they. I don't believe in that. Right? I think it's bad. Same thing is with okay. So in other words, one of the things that people have an issue with chosen nation, the chosen nation sounds like we're better than you. But here he says chosen nation is a kingdom of priests. What does it mean, kingdom of priests? Servitude. You have responsibility to teach. And what else? Holy nation. What's holy nation? You can't do what everyone else does. You have a higher level of living, if you like. Okay? Okay. What do we teach the nations of the world? We don't teach them Torah. Okay? We don't teach them to keep kosher laws because they're not Jewish. We don't teach them to keep Shabbat because they're not Jewish. Shabbos was given to Jewish people. So here, text two. Go ahead, Alan.
I'll give Adam and his descendants 6 commandments: the prohibitions against idolatry, blasphemy, murder, inappropriate sexual relations, and theft, as well as the imperative to establish a judicial system. I'll give Noah one more commandment: the prohibition against eating a limb of an animal while they're alive.
Okay, this is what we call the 7 Noahide laws. So what should we teach? What does it mean that we should be a kingdom of priests? Means here, look at text 3. Go ahead.
Moses instructed us in God's name to compel all the people of the world to accept the commandments that were given to the descendants of Noah.
So we have an obligation to share the 7 laws of Noah with the rest of the world. Very interesting. Did you ever hear this? You have an obligation. By the way, one of the things that Judaism stands out is we don't proselytize. It's a very interesting thing. Why don't you proselytize? Every single religion, either it's a basic tenet, Christianity, I believe it's a basic tenet of their belief. You guys tell me if you're familiar. It's a basic tenet. In other words, part of the thing is you have to get more members. It's not about recruitment, but it's about if I believe this is the truth, I should share it with other people. And suddenly Judaism doesn't care about the world. Like, why not? Right? So here he says, Maimonides says, we do have an obligation. We don't have an obligation to share the Torah. We have an obligation to share the 7 laws of Noah.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
is there anything in the what we know as the 10 Commandments
Yeah.
that it would be good that any of the 7 laws of Noah were incorporated into it, or are they already incorporated?
They're not incorporated.
They're not.
So here's a few things. Murder is in there.
Yes.
Okay. Idolatry is in there, but idolatry for non-Jews is different than idolatry for Jews.
Theft.
Theft is in there. And immoral, so it is part of it, but it's not all 10 commandments.
Okay.
What 10 commandments are not there? Shabbos. Idolatry is a general thing. In the 10 commandments is split into 2, positive and negative. Believe in only one God, and not to serve any other God. So it's 2 commands instead of 1. What else is not in there? Not to take his name in vain. That's right. Honor your parents is not part of this 7
Not stealing.
Stealing is.
Where?
Yeah, it's one of the 7 Noahide laws. Right here.
That, okay.
And not to covet, that's not in part of the 7 Noahide laws.
Okay.
Now, why isn't it? I don't know. It's a good question. Why isn't, like, let's say, honor your father and mother in there? Okay, it's a good question. By the way, not having a commandment doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Right.
It just means you're not commanded.
I just wondered why.
Perhaps I don't know. I
Didn't
can't.
do it once and for all instead of.
I don't know why. By the way, it's a very good question to ask. Why weren't the non-Jewish world commandment to honor your father and mother? It's a very important commandment. And I would venture to say something like this is a very interesting thing. And I don't have an answer. So this is just kind of what comes to my mind. So I could be totally off. This could be totally ridiculous what I'm going to say. But I think there's something to be said about my connection to Judaism runs through my parents. Why? Because you go all the way back, they stood at Mount Sinai. They actually experienced the revelation of God. Mm-hmm. There's something very special about the Torah and the Jewish people through the father and mother. If you don't have that tradition, in other words, everything I got comes from them. There's a lot of holes in this argument. It's coming to mind as I'm talking. I'm thinking of counter arguments. Okay, but when it comes to morality, You can argue and say, who says you have it right?
Right.
Why by Jewish parents you could say otherwise? Because way back then they stood at Mount Sinai. Only for that. In other words, you happened to stand and witness this amazing thing, and it was given. And therefore, you gave it from generation to generation. There's something special about going back, looking back towards generations before you. The reason why this doesn't make sense because parents give much more than just morality. They teach you how to eat, they teach you how to sleep, they teach you how to take care of yourself, they teach you everything. So it's still a good, valid question to ask. The basis of civilization is that you should honor your father and mother. So I don't have an answer. So it's a good question, but this is okay. Here's an interesting thing. Okay, so we're a commandment to force. Look what he says, to compel. Actually, lakof is not to compel. Lakof is to force. The real translation of lakof, they kind of gently translate it. Kfiyah means I force you. What does that mean, to force? So Jews never used a sword to compel anybody to believe something. That wasn't something we did. Everyone else did that. We didn't do that. What does that mean?
Make sure they know, because, if you're engaging with them in conversation or something, make sure to let them know, like, recommend.
Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to try and understand that. The other thing is, why do we need to compel them? What's wrong with their code of Jewish law, their code of morality? Why are we walking around? Right, generally, most of the world has this notion: my way is the right way. You don't know what you're talking about. If I'm a conservative and you're a liberal, you know what you're talking about. If I'm a liberal, you're a conservative, you know what you're talking about. I have it right, you have it wrong. If I believe in XYZ belief, I have it right, and you don't know what you're talking about. Right? That's the general attitude. But who says so? Who says you don't have it right? Who says it's that? Why do we have? Okay, this is what we follow. Okay, here, let's see. So first, we're going to present the argument, and you guys kind of brought this up. Why you need, for starters, the belief in one God. Here, let's read text 4. Go ahead. Oh, Alicia, go ahead.
By way of analogy, human king enters a country, whose son is throne, advises, purge, issue decrees to the people. He replies, I will issue decrees after they accept my sovereignty. They don't accept my sovereignty, they won't accept my decrees. Similarly, God first said to the Jewish people, I am God your God, and have no other God but me. By this he was asking, am I the God that you accepted upon yourselves in Egypt?
Okay, so go on.
They replied, yes. God responded, now that you have accepted my sovereignty, accept my decrees.
Okay, so look what he says. First, you have to accept God, and then you accept his. In other words, if you don't accept me as your leader, why should I issue, who says you want me? Who says I want to hear what you have to say if you don't accept me as the authority? So first, you have to accept God as our God. And then we say, okay, what does that God want from us? Why is that so important? Why is it so important? Maybe we could just go away with the belief in God and just think about it. Did this question ever occur to you? Who needs God? Maybe we could figure it out on our own and come up or borrow. I like the Jewish way, but I don't want this whole God thing. Whole supernatural, leave me alone. I understand some of the values, the principles are good for our society. I don't like anything that I can't see. Who needs God? So here, let's read text 5. Go ahead, Jackie.
When American schools emphasize character development, and when nearly all Americans believe that there is a God who forbids and punishes murders, our schools were safe. Why did the moral standards of our youth deteriorate astonishingly from one extreme to another? We stopped focusing on the most important goal of education, values, character development, and cultivating a moral conscience in each of our youngsters. We stopped teaching children that the most important aspect of life is knowing right from wrong. Teaching children that murder is wrong because it is against the law or it is not nice does not penetrate the hearts of many youths. It's a shallow argument. By teaching our children that the creator and ruler of the world has deemed certain behaviors wrong and evil, and this creator cares about the behavior of every person and expects them to behave with goodness and kindness toward others, and will hold them responsible for their actions, we can hope to ingrain these values in them far more effectively. The child must understand that the world is not a jungle, where there is a creator and a master who sees and evaluates all his actions. There is an eye that sees and an ear that hears. When morality is based on my moods and inclinations, or the norms of the school or the society, I can end up justifying the most heinous crimes. When children are inculcated from the youngest age with a recognition that God has deemed certain behaviors evil, and He is watching them, there is a far greater chance for them to behave morally, despite internal turmoil of all types of challenges life may confer upon them.
Yeah, this is a very powerful quote, and Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson is actually quoting the Rebbe. Rebbe, it's almost verbatim, almost word for word, at least a chunk of it. But there's something happened in American, and I think the next one's going to come up with this also. Something happened with American culture. I find it fascinating. Every time there's a shooting, what do you think happens in American culture? What do they, right away, they start talking about gun control. And what happened in American society, so we have debated gun control for how many years? 40, 50 years? Well, okay, what do we, even worse. And what did we accomplish? That we did one thing, we maintained an argument for a long time. Nothing happened. In other words, did the gun violence stop? And I'm not advocating yay or nay. I'm trying to say something else. In other words, you want to argue about it, you're doing a good job in arguing. As a society, you'll keep arguing. You've been doing it. Go back to the debate of presidents in 70s or 60s. See if that was raised. You'll see that nothing changed. You're out of your mind. What did you do? And the killings are getting worse and worse and worse. Something else is missing. In other words, if you insist on arguing, keep arguing, but do something else. Consider doing something else, which I think is the root of the problem. Our schools are void of an important thing. And I don't want to sound like I'm advocating for one thing or another, but at the end of the day, the person who kills someone is a person. I could, God forbid, I could kill you with this cup. I could. I crack it. It becomes a tool. God forbid, right? I kill with anything. With a rope, right? I don't know. We don't have to go through all the scenarios. Anything could kill if the person behind it decides to kill the person. So really, it's an internal problem. All our issues, drug issues. Now we have a drug issue. So we're we're attacking Venezuela. We're attacking, right? Okay, whatever. By the way, it's the same thing. It's essentially our problem. We have a problem as a society. Something is rotten in our society. Depression is skyrocketing. So many core issues. And they all stem from one thing. It's not a major thing. It's not like, okay, you have to do a whole different solution for this, a whole program for drugs, a whole program for gun violence, a whole program. No, it's one core value. Our kids are not taught how to be a mensch. They're not taught character development. They're not taught how to be a good, decent human being. Why are they? Because they're missing something. That's what the Rebbe is saying. They're missing the belief in a God. It's a tricky thing, by the way, because how do you teach it? How do you teach belief? Why was God omitted? Because Michael's kids came to school and they heard of, I don't know, one kind of God or one sort of belief. And like, oh, we don't believe in that. We rejected it. We don't want to hear it in our school. They went and protested to the principal, and he got rid of it. And actually what the Rebbe ends up really advocating is to start the day, not with a prayer, because you can't have a prayer, but to start the day with a moment of silence, where every kid could think about his belief system. Think about this, the creator that created you with a purpose, and he cares about what you do, and there's ramifications for what you do, and think about what's good and what's evil. Basic common things, right? And that's what he's saying. He's saying there's something missing, and I believe that's what's missing. By the way, it won't take everything away. It won't take your drug issues completely away. It won't take all these things that American depression completely away. It won't take gun violence away. I'm sure there's other issues that we face as a society, but it'll diminish them tremendously, I believe, without a question. Because this is the society seems, American society seems to be driving. If you take the data, look where gun violence was 50 years ago. Look where depression was 50 years ago, right? Look where I don't know where it was, but look where we're going. Where are we going as a society? How much wealth do we have? We've become more wealthier, yet we've become internally messed up. That means it's internally there's something missing. Externally, we're doing fine. We have more cars than ever. We have gadgets that are revolutionary. We're comfortable. We have we eat too much. We have too much food. I could tell you that. There's no more cake, by the way. No cake. No cake. Wait till Saturday. This is a sign of my wife isn't here. But anyway, so we really have so much wealth. And what are we missing? We're missing something inside. Okay. So what's the problem with morality without faith? Then it becomes morality by choice. Who decides what's morality? Right? What's morality? There's also such a thing called the fudge factor. What's the fudge factor? You bend it a little bit here, a little bit there. Okay, so we change them. We change the rules. Okay, so in other words, even if we believe in something, there's times that we change it. We change it based upon our needs. Generally, I don't believe in killing, but today, did you see how he skipped me in the highway? This guy deserves death. Because the way he did it, he'll kill somebody. I'm going to kill him. Besides, you know how angry he made me? Right. So suddenly, a guy like you that never believed in murder, right? You're not. Who believes in murder? You have people like that, gangsters, or people who are. But most people don't believe in murder. Suddenly, you now, in your mind, you think, oh, this is justified. He had it coming. Here, let's read text 6. Go ahead, Mary.
The moral principles of Western civilization are, in fact, all derived from the tradition rooted in Scripture and have vital meaning only in the context of that tradition. The attempt in recent decades by secularist thinkers to disengage these values from their religious context, in the assurance they could live a life of their own as a humanistic ethic, has resulted in what one writer has called our cut flower culture. Cut flowers retain their original beauty and fragrance, but only so long as they retain the vitality that they have drawn from their now severed roots. After that is exhausted, they wither and die. So it is with freedom, brotherhood and justice, and personal dignity, the values that form the moral foundation of our civilization. Without the life-giving power of faith, out of which they have sprung, they possess neither meaning nor vitality. Morality ungrounded in God is indeed a house built upon sand, unable to stand up against the vagaries of impulse and the brutal pressures of power and self-interest.
By the way, you look at it like there's something very. There's a lot of examples like that. One example is suddenly okay, so you could end life, the beginning of life. You could end life at the end of life. Suddenly, like by the value of life, kind of becomes minimized. You shorten the value of life. Life is only when you put in the. So suddenly the value itself became customized based upon for whatever reason it is, because it's not an absolute. Today we live in a world where there's no real. It's what I think. Here's something very odd. So October 7th was something that really shook the world. What did it shake the world? It shook the worlds of liberal Jews, many liberal Jews. Why did it shake the world? Because they firmly believed in these values. And they were so certain that given the atrocities of October 7th, they will have the full backup support of their liberal friends. And they were deeply disappointed, completely, like literally the carpet was pulled underneath them. They were beside themselves. Where is my liberal friends? Why don't they support me? I was attacked. I was butchered. We were raped. We were kidnapped. The type of atrocities the world hasn't seen it, and it was all published. It was all on live feed. And yet, all these humane organizations ignored. All the rape organizations ignored the rape of ladies that were documented. We have videos. Do you understand the video? I haven't seen the videos, but there's videos of rape that took place. There's videos of butchering. There's videos of kidnapping of babies. By the way, it became worse. So now you couldn't defend yourself because you defend yourself. The whole world went on flame. The hypocrisy goes further the past couple of weeks because where are they when it comes to Iran? Here we have videos similar to October 7th of people coming, gunning people, machine guns on military vehicles, gunning thousands of people. The numbers are 40 to 50, and we don't even know what the number is. Okay, so this is kind of it tells you the morality. Once you come up, even though it sounds cute, if it's your own morality, it'll be twisted. It's just a matter of time where we completely messed up. Okay. What's interesting is prior to Hashem gave the Torah, what existed in the world? The world also was a little messed up. It was a paganistic world. What was the problem with the paganist world? They had many gods. So I could follow today. I want to wage war. I'm going to right now connect with the God of war. Today I want to do love. I'm going to connect with the God of love. I don't want to talk, huh? Love. I don't want to connect with the God. I don't know what counters it. The God of morality, whatever it is. But I could choose which God, whatever God I want to go with. And they all disagree with each other. Though they weren't real people, but whatever we attributed to them, one didn't have to agree with the other. There's no one set of rules. Furthermore, because they were humanely created, we created them in our image. So just like we were small-minded, we're petty and jealous and hateful, we attribute to those pagan gods those same attributes. So, right, what did the famous philosopher says? God made man in his image. We return to favor and we make God in our image. In other words, we think of God in our image. So the paganistic world, they actually made God in their image because they created their God. So what happened was it was okay. There were things that it was okay in those societies. It was okay to kill babies. It was okay to kill disabled people or elderly and on and on and on and on. Okay. Okay. So what did Judaism introduce to the world? That there is one moral code that's founded on one God. And that's what we want to share with the world. We don't compel them by a sword. We don't force them by a sword. We force them by speech, by presenting a solid argument. Here, let's read text 7. Go ahead.
The Jewish contribution. We compel them with words that draw their heart to the will of their master and desire of their maker. We must speak highly of the people and tell them they are beloved to God in those image they were created. Thus they must observe his rules purely because he decreed them. If God loves them so much as to make them in his image, they have a reciprocal duty to fulfill his desires.
Okay, so now what's the real question here? Okay, so it's all hunky-dory. Everything is great. You know what? I should go upstairs and give you the cards. Remind me, I have 7 Noahide cards. If you want to share it with anyone else, you can take a few and share it with friends. So here, according to Maimonides, there's an obligation for every Jew to compel. Here, compel means to persuade, if you like, that the world should follow the belief of one God and these 7 Noahide laws. So if that's the case, why isn't written? The only person that mentions this as an obligation is Maimonides. You won't find it in Code of Jewish Law. Why is that? Not only that, in all the right, we have now a course about responses. In all the responses, we don't see it. We don't see where that there was customary for Jews to go and compel the non-Jews to believe in one God and the 7 laws of Noah. What do you think the reason is? Persecution. So let's read text 8. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I just read.
Oh, you just read. Oh, go ahead, Mandy. 8. This is a famous story. You guys probably know this.
Angelas, the son of Hieronymus, was a convert to Judaism. The emperor sent a troop of Romans to seize him. He drew them in with biblical passages and they too converted. The emperor sent another troop and instructed them not to stay away to Angelas. They seized him, but as they were talking, he said, I will make a mere statement. A minor official carries the torch for the high official. The high official carries the torch for the duke. The duke carries the torch for the governor. The governor carries the torch for the ruler. For whom does the ruler carry the torch? Perhaps for the people? No, they replied. Angelas said, Yet God carries the torch for the Jewish people, as it is written, and God went before them by day and by night with a torch of fire. They all converted. The emperor sent a third troop and said, This time do not talk to him at all. They grabbed him, but as they left, he paused to place his hand upon the mezuzah on the doorpost. He asked, What is this? They said, You tell us. He replied, It is the way of the world that human kings sit indoors while their servants stand guard outside. God is different. While Jews sit in their homes, God guards them from the outside. As it is written, God will guard your goings and coming from now and forever. They all converted, and the emperor sent no more troops.
Wow.
Okay, so by the way, one of the things that changed. So what do you get from the story? A lot. But what's relevant to us is that he deserved imprisonment, despite the fact that he was the nephew of the Caesar in Rome. He was about to be imprisoned to be converted. You would say, okay, he's a nephew, right? It's one thing if he was the son of the king, right? The king wants to hear, but he's not going to be the next king. So what does he care if he practices Judaism? Let him do what he wants. It tells you how absurd this was, converting to Judaism. And it was something that the authorities for thousands of years, basically since that time, or before, didn't allow conversion to Judaism. By the way, the earliest conversions, who was the earliest converts? So really it was the Jews. The Jewish people, when they came and accepted the Torah of Mount Sinai, they were the first converts. But who are the people who joined the Jewish people going out of Egypt? All those, there was a group of people who joined with them. But here he's talking about, so conversion was something that was punishable by death. So people didn't convert. Here, let's read text 9. Go ahead, Gabriel.
The Rebbe says, the understood that Jews have to refrain from fulfilling this obligation of their lives. In exceptional cases where this is done, it is done carefully and as needed. This explains why responsa on matters were never published or publicized. This is possible also while this obligation is absent from the written original under interpretation to its law, and its associated texts, which were written in the times of danger for Jews. It follows that when these concerns are relevant, such as in the country where we reside, the obligation is in full force.
Okay, so bottom line is like this. Why didn't we see or find any discussion, nothing written, documented, and nothing, and it wasn't a custom for Jews to go and proselytize when it comes to, not to Judaism, but the 7 laws of Noah, even though Maimonides believed this was something that was Jews should do, because it was just simply too dangerous. So someone who would put it inside, even putting it inside as a law, you're putting yourself in danger that they'll find, oh, did you write this? Okay. That's the end of you. So that's why here's an exception. The next one is an exception. And this is a story of Rabbi Azulai in July 7th, 1778. He writes this. And he writes about meeting a guy named Musai Paveri, a non-Jewish academic in Paris, and he was very impressed. And here, let's read text 10. Go ahead, Alex.
He asked the aforementioned non-Jew to describe his beliefs. He told me he believes in the Jewish God of Israel. I examined him and found that it was so. I said to him, so, if so, recite the Shema, the Jewish proclamation of faith. Every morning and evening, observe the 7 laws of the Noahide code, and beware of introducing other gods into your belief system. Believe in only one God. He accepted this and pledged to pray only to the Jewish God of Israel.
So whatever he did is putting his life in danger to encourage a non-Jew in a Christian society at that time to believe in anything other than Christianity was putting your life in danger. But today we don't have this. Today we're not in danger. Today we have the freedom, at least as far as I know. Which means you can and you should, according to Maimonides. It's a tall order, by the way. Anyone comfortable? What is it? I always say, if you want to end a conversation quickly, talk about God. Try it out, by the way. It always works like a charm. Someone calls you off, you want to get off the phone, start talking about God. That, and the next thing is fundraise from them. They'll hang up right away. As soon as you fundraise, like, what? Oh, well, the dentist is on the other line. 1 second. Someone just died, I'm telling you. I don't know where someone died. I'm out of here. So, but seriously, God is really not attractive. But here's what you could do. So it's like everything else, it's marketing. It's not so much the topic, it's how you package it. It's how you convey the information. But it's funny, I'm telling this to you, but I don't really do, I don't do what I'm conveying to you. You understand what I'm saying? Not to the extent I should do. One of the reasons why we brought Holocaust survivors, just FYI, just so you know, one of the reasons why we brought Holocaust survivors were for a number of reasons, and we're actually looking to bring another one. I don't have anyone on the list, but I'm looking to bring another Holocaust survivor. It had multiple reasons. Number one, but there's really one reason that really pushes. There are 2 reasons that really drove me to do it. So number one, it's a great PR, right? You know, there's an event, Chabad hosts with 1,800 people. It's a very powerful, 1,200, 1,500. It's a very powerful event. That's number one. Number 2, we actually make money out of it. Right? It's a lot of money, but it's also a big headache. It's a tremendous event. So everything has a price you pay for it. But then there's 2 real compelling reasons, and I make sure every time before I start the event, I give a speech. And that speech, the past couple of times, I hired a speech writer. Every speech cost me, $700-800. It's a lot of money. The top writer, because this was the message I wanted to convey. I had an opportunity to convey this message, and I would tell the writer what I want him to write, and he would spend the time putting the right words and the right message. And then I would spend hours and hours preparing it, actually practicing speaking in front of a mirror. Why? Because that's the message I wanted them to hear. I wanted to have the opportunity to convey to people, especially when it's connected to World War II, Holocaust. It's very apropos. The other reason I bring Holocaust survivor, it actually really changes people's lives, because you have someone talking about their trauma, and they still live their life to the fullest. They're usually in the late 90s at this point. So the bottom line, what you take out from the story is especially I would say in this today's confusing world, is you should share with the rest of the world, even those who are not interested in Judaism or are not Jewish, the idea of a Noahide law, that there is a way to connect with God as a non-Jew in a way that's true. It doesn't compromise that any ethics or any moralities, any um, true belief system. Here, let's read the key points. Number one, God gave Adam 6 laws by which to live, and then gave Noah a 7th law, collectively known as the Noahide law. What was the last law he gave Noah? Anyone know?
Not to eat from the.
Right, right. And perhaps that's the most important law. That those who say there's 2 reasons. A, that we want to show the value of life is so important that even animals don't cause pain, right? The animal could live. If I cut up a limb, he could still live. Don't cause pain, even to animals, how much more so to humans? The other idea is respect. Number 2, when God gave the Torah to Jews at Mount Sinai, he charged them with the mandate to recruit new adherents to the Noahide code. And again, this is something that Jews are not good about, for a good reason, because they were threatened. They have, if you like, collective, I don't want to say collective trauma, but collective generation for thousands of years, where they were afraid for their lives. The key distinction is that Jews would teach people to embrace God as the ultimate moral authority. With categorical moral authority, moral laws remain sacrosanct, okay, whatever, and unchanging, that they couldn't come up with a more confusing. They were looking for the one word. They were looking for the one word that only 2 people in the world know about it. So only 2 people know what that means. But anyways, okay. Moral laws remain unchanging under all circumstances and never become absolute. The obligation was number 4. The obligation was not pursued rigorously or publicly throughout the years because it was dangerous for Jews to teach the Noahide law. Number 5, today this danger has passed, so we must engage in it with full force. Such advocacy is beneficial to the Jewish community. Okay.
Oh, boy.
So what are your thoughts?
Well, number 5.
What's that? Tell me.
Number 5, so we must engage the dangerous past, so we must engage with full force. Does that mean Jews need to be like Jehovah's Witnesses and knock on doors? And
That's what it seems like what he's saying, but it's very unlikely.
Okay,
So let me explain a few things. So I never figured this out. And it actually happens to be the Rebbe was very into this. And from the Rebbe has a lot of talks. The Rebbe spent hours and hours talking about this. Yet there's no program in Chabad that does this. So I can't explain to you why there isn't. I've heard various explanations. I don't understand it.
And what's the distinction between this and proselytizing?
It is proselytizing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's different. It's different. What's the difference? Proselytizing is typically be like me, and if you're not like me, you go to hell. Here I'm saying be like you, just follow this code. I'm not saying to you to be like me. Usually every religion says either you're like me or you go to hell. Here we're not telling we're telling you we don't want you to be like me. I want you to be your good person as it is. Follow the 7 Noahide laws, which is very different. It's drastically different. Right? It's so by the way, it's so disrespectful when I come to you and I say you have to be like me, otherwise you're going to go to hell.
It is rude.
Yeah. And in the core, the whole notion is a very rude thing. So here we're not telling you become like us. We're saying you already have a relationship with Hashem. You're already because these are the 7 laws that God gave us. And guess what? By the way, today's society, most people believe in them. There's only one catch. The catch is this is connected with God. I don't know of an American that believes in murder, unless you're a gangster. I'm assuming even then you have some belief. But most people don't believe in killing, don't believe in stealing, don't believe in adultery. Even if they commit adultery, they don't believe in it. Even if they steal, they know that what they're doing is wrong. Rarely is there something that they don't believe. The catch is, this is where the problem is, you have to tie it to higher authority, where those values become solid. So when we're coming to a person and we're saying, this is the true way, what are we telling him? We're telling him, do already what you believe, but anchor it with a real belief. And I would argue to say like this, even a Christian guy or a Muslim guy, even if I believe that their belief is wrong, so in other words, a false belief, this day they keep the 7 laws of Noach makes them Noachites. So I'm not, I have no motivation to go and try to convert a Muslim or Christian. By the way, Muslims I do, because I believe there's too many of them are trying to kill me. But it's a different story. In other words, if your belief system is kind of, you can end up with a sword, in my house. Yeah, you better believe it. I have a problem with it. I don't know how you got to it. I don't care, because if so, but the idea they do advocate the 7 laws of Noah. Okay, let's stop here. Thank you so much. Let's see who joined us. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Marshall, family, and thank you so much, Philip and Michelle. You guys have a wonderful night. Send me your feedback, please.